outside of the whole Walmart scenario, in 1950, it took approximately 4,637 hours of labor on average for the average American worker to own a home. As of 2024, it's 15,142. I don't think Gen Z is particularly buying the argument that they've been raised out of poverty, things have gotten better. I think Gen Z is actually livid over the conditions that they've been left by these policies.
Would you want to live in a 1950s home?
Yeah, why not?
Do you know the difference in the standards of what things
what is it?
like?
What are the standards?
You're not talking about the home. You're talking about the appliances.
Hold on. Whoa. What standards? What are you talking about?
Well, yeah, I am talking about the appliances. I'm talking about the kitchen in a 1950s
You're talking about government.
home.
You want government regulations on all of how the house should be built and all that stuff?
No, I'm
What's
saying
the problem with the 1950s home?
I'm saying that the homes that people live in today are vastly superior in too many ways to count.
Like how?
Made out of cardboard instead of wood.
Come on. Honest question. Like how?
Think of all the kitchen appliances.
Like what?
Think of the air conditioning.
Like
the stoves, the
They had stoves
microwaves.
in the 1950s. They had microwave. They didn't have microwaves back then, but they had stoves. I'm not super concerned about a microwave.
The heating systems.
Like what? What is that? What is that heating system?
I'm not an expert in heating.
And why make the
systems.
argument?
Because it's true.
They had stoves, they had fridges, they had dishwashers back then.
So why don't you go to a museum where they have this set up, what the typical home was like in 1955, walk around and ask yourself if you'd rather live in that home than the home that you presumably live in or most Americans live in today. You might. I mean, that's up to you. I think 99%
You're asking,
of people
ask
would
a
not say so.
24-year-old, ask a 24-year-old, would you like to have your own home right now with a 1950s stove, a 1950s refrigerator, and a 1950s dishwasher, or would you like to live in a bachelor apartment?
Hold on. This whole framing is incorrect. Housing is not unaffordable today because of free trade. It's because governments across this country have made it impossible to build housing. That's why we have a housing shortage and housing is so expensive. And in fact, the kind of protectionist policies you're talking about would make housing more expensive. You put tariffs on the imports that go into building homes, you're only making it even more expensive.
Why can't they make money?
Why can't
Why can't Gen Z make money?
There's a million reasons for that. Our government has screwed up our economy beyond control.
Maybe they can get a job like their parents and work in a steel mill, maybe. What do you think, Elijah? Can they get a job at a steel mill?
Well, can we talk about...
you know what? That's by the way, that's why Gen Z is both the laziest and hardest working, is because there are no traditional paths towards wealth. There's no like, hey, just get this job and then you will have a home. They have to be genius, and with that comes pioneering new avenues. And I'll tell you, I hire some Gen Z people. One of them carries his laptop around by the screen. It scares me.
Elijah, sorry, can we stay on...
But I'm saying he's a genius and he'll do well in life. But I'm going to say the current old paths that people had towards wealth do not exist, and we have to understand that's because of policies and choices and the movement of understanding.
It's not because of free trade.
But even if you want,
but can we stay on steel for a second? Can we stay on steel? I want to talk about steel. So a great example of this
let's go with metal.
is when I say that you guys oppose free trade, what you're really upset about is just inevitable progress. I mean, look, the invention of the automobile decimated the horse-drawn buggy industry.
Sure did.
Destroyed their jobs, destroyed their culture, destroyed their communities, but it was social progress. You cannot put the genie back in the bottle when it comes to trade. Steel is a great example. President Trump tried to in his first term. He put tariffs on steel imports from our allies and from other countries in order to try to increase domestic steel production. And it worked a little bit, right? You had a little bit of an increase in U.S. steel production. But and research on this is overwhelming, actual employment in U.S. manufacturing overall suffered. Multiple times more jobs were destroyed than created because the cost went up in all the other industries that have steel as an input cost. So other manufacturing industries lost jobs, so steel could be protected a little bit. More people lost jobs and lost income in all the industries that rely on steel as an input cost. It's a huge net negative to American society.
And there's a phrase.
But it protected some people who are well-connected and favored.
The saying goes, a society grows great when, the original phrase was, when men plant trees whose shade they know they will never sit beneath. And so what you're describing is what I call the heroin addiction economy, where it's let's continually gut and destroy the root of labor in this country for short-term gains in other areas. I don't care if a top-level company is going to decrease a little bit if it's going to restore the base and foundation of jobs in this country. So
you don't care about policies that destroy
I don't care about the fruits of the
negative.
poisonous tree. And saying now that...
Well, I do.
Great. And that will lead to the destruction of this country. So we ask ourselves why it is that young people can't find jobs. They're suffering. And it's because there used to be entry-level jobs that could help you afford to live and work in a certain place. But there's even beyond the quantifiable. Because you say, like, this is progress. It's progress. Let's talk about the progress. Let's talk about the outsourcing of car manufacturing to Mexico, to Indonesia, and to China. And Donald Trump put a stop to that. in his first term. And he said, famously, as Michael Moore pointed out, he went to the executives and said, I will put a 30% tariff on all of your cars and no one will ever buy them again. And what happened? A multi-billion-dollar reinvestment in Michigan. And then Joe Biden got back in. And what happened? They left again. And the jobs were gutted. Michigan
Did Biden roll back Trump's tariffs?
Some of them.
Most of them he kept in place.
Indeed.
Most of them he kept in place.
And when the policies were reversed, or I should say the administration's enforcement of these policies especially, we saw those investments lost. So Michigan is collapsing. There's so much more to this big picture. First of all, I really think we're getting too much trapped into the graph go up argument, which is the stupidest argument imaginable. It is good that on average people can buy more sticks of bubble gum and there's no more baseball at the park. There's no more apple pie and there's no more Christmas. That's insane.
That's such a caricature of economic progress.
No, but the GDP
people
issue
who
is the
sorry,
problem.
for 1 second. To the people who have struggled to afford everything over the last couple of years, and for people on your side of the political spectrum have railed against that and how unaffordable life has been, you are now coming on and championing policies that would make things go up and then dismissing the cost of living going up as, oh, bubblegum more expensive, graph go down. No, actually, for people who don't have, comfortable media jobs like I think most of us do, it's actually a big deal when things get more expensive. When the price they pay at the store goes up.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Culture War podcast. We're live every Friday, 10 a.m. to noon. So subscribe and come hang out.